The 2017 Fiat 500 Abarth. If you are looking for something that's affordable and it is literally the closest thing to driving a street legal go-kart, you are looking at it. I'm Jay and welcome to CarBuzz Unboxing Reviews. Now, the previous time I reviewed a Fiat 500, it was the Fiat 500e. It was an all-electric version of the Fiat 500, and the Fiat 500 Abarth is literally the 500e's exact opposite within the Fiat 500 range. Oh, and I also want to thank DGDG.com for letting us come on down and film today. So the Fiat 500 series, well, the reborn Fiat 500, remember the old Fiat 500 was around since right after World War II throughout the 1950s. The reborn Fiat 500 first hit the market in Europe back in 2007, but it didn't arrive in the US until 2011, and the high-performance Abarth version, the car you see here, came out in the US not long after the rest of the base lineup. And like I said, this is literally the closest thing that you can get to driving, and I just like to put it in these terms, a street legal go-kart. It is relatively lightweight. It's just something you can toss around, and it just doesn't break the bank. I mean, of course, you have to be able to afford it. But before I go anymore, I want to start up this little gem of an engine for you because it just sounds so good. Okay, so that was a turbocharged 1.4 liter multi-air inline-four with 157 horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 183 pound-feet of torque available at 2,400 RPM. Now, power is sent to the front wheels. Of course, this is a front-wheel drive car. No all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, whatever. Power goes to the front wheels either through a standard 6-speed manual or, as in the case of this particular one, a 6-speed automatic with a manual shifting mode. Now, the automatic costs an extra $1,350. Personally, I would still go for the manual. I just think it's more fun. It's a little faster. You save a little more fuel, but a stick shift is just not for everybody, and I respect that. Now, this particular 500 Abarth, it's painted Bianco Perla, which is basically pearl white. This exterior paint does cost an extra $500, but I really like it, especially with these optional 17-inch forged aluminum black wheels. Those cost an extra $1,400. 16-inch wheels come standard, and these particular wheels are painted black, and that actually costs an extra a couple $100 as well, as well as the black trimmed lights. Those are $250. But the car, its exterior styling has mainly been unchanged since it came out in the US since 2011. There was a facelift a couple of years ago, restyled front and rear ends, some interior updates as well, but the overall bones of the car are still the same that go back to 2007 in Europe. So yes, this car's design, its engineering, and the mechanicals, all about that, is a decade old at this point, and I know for a fact Fiat is planning a second generation 500, but it's still a couple of years away, and quite honestly, they don't need to rush it because this Fiat 500 and the Abarth version, it's still competitive. And I love these dual bright exhaust tips here. There's also bifunction halogen projector headlamps, fog lamps, red brake calipers that you saw, this performance spoiler, and the tinted glass. So yeah, it's just a sharp-looking little coupe. And speaking of coupes, you can also get the 500 Abarth as well as the rest of the 500 range as a convertible. But what's really kind of cool about the convertible, it's called the Abarth 500C, C as in convertible, is that it's a folding rooftop, and the B and C pillars remain, and the top, it's a cloth top, it just literally peels backwards. It's kind of cool, but personally, I would probably want to go with a coupe. You get a little more structural rigidity with it, so that's just my personal preference, plus the convertible costs a little bit more, and I'll get to pricing later on as well. So under the hood, yes, here it is, that turbocharged 1.4 liter multi-air inline-four. Like I said, 157 horsepower and 183 pound-feet of torque. Performance, 0 to 16 miles per hour in 6.9 seconds, and you'll do the quarter mile in about 15.4 seconds at around 90 miles per hour. So is this a drag racer? Not by any means. Don't even think about it. This thing is it's just a good driver's car. Fuel economy, 24 miles per gallon in the city, 32 on the highway, and a combined 27. And the total weight is just over 2,500 pounds. So yeah, it's actually relatively light. It weighs about 300 pounds more, so just to give you some comparison, than a Mazda MX-5 Miata. Now, looking at this interior here, now this is, for the most part, the base interior you get in the 500 Abarth. For example, you have these black performance cloth seats as opposed to opting for the leather seats, which cost an extra $1,200. And honestly, I think these cloth seats, they're not like this cheap cloth. It's a high-quality material, and I would really consider it and possibly save $1,200 in the process. And the overall fit and finish, I have to say it's pretty good, but it definitely could be better in a few places. Again, this car is a decade old, and I think a lot of the fit and finish, especially in terms of the competition, has improved over time. So the second generation 500 series will probably be a bit better in the interior fit and finish materials department. And as you can see, yes, you can fit a couple of people in the rear seat. It's kind of spacious for a shorter person, but if you're going to be, I don't know, say around 5'8", 5'9", it's going to get snug pretty quick. And one of the things I just love about all Fiat 500s in general, whether it's the 500e, I encourage you to check out my unboxing review of that, and same thing goes with the Abarth version here, is that the whole dash is the same color as the body color, the exterior body color. And I just think that's a really cool retro touch. It goes back to the original Fiat 500s in the 1950s, and I think it's aged really, really nicely. The other thing I like about this dashboard, it's basic, it's straightforward, and it still looks good after, almost a decade here. And yes, it was given an update a couple of years ago, but the overall bones of it are still the same. You have that Abarth emblem right in the center of the steering wheel there, and you'll see that Scorpion Abarth emblem all throughout the car. Okay, so this is the 5.5-inch touchscreen here. It is actually FCA's Uconnect 5.0 system, and I said this before, the Uconnect system is very, very good. It is probably one of the best infotainment nav systems combined in the business. However, with this one, it doesn't have a standard navigation system included. You have to see that TomTom system there. That costs an extra $600 for GPS nav in the 500 Abarth, and quite honestly, just comparing it to so many other cars out today, you shouldn't be paying an extra $600 for navigation. It should be standard. So if anyone from Fiat is listening, please take that into account. Just a little tip of advice. I'm sure a lot of you watching this, everyone there will agree with me. But the overall system itself, it's very easy to use, very intuitive, and I didn't experience any sort of rebooting issues. The climate control system here, yeah, it's just fine. It works as it should. I did think some of the buttons felt a little cheap. Again, it's not a deal breaker, but I try to get a little nitpicky in these reviews because I want you to see every car for how it is, even before you go check it out at a dealership. And just because of the Fiat 500 Abarth size and its dimensions, the automaker did a nice job of just making the most out of interior storage space. As you can see throughout, they found a way to get those cup holders in. The glove box is a decent size. They didn't have a whole lot of space to work with, but they did a good job for what they had. The other thing I liked is the steering wheel. It's nicely sized, it's grippy, and again, it just encourages good and fun driving. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Abarth, what exactly is that, and what's up with that Scorpion logo? Well, Abarth, it's a racing and road car maker that was founded by Carl Abarth way back in 1949, and it's now a subsidiary fully owned by FCA. They actually Fiat took over Abarth way back in 1971, and Abarth actually began association with Fiat in 1952, modifying cars for road racing, hill climbs, etc. And the Scorpion logo is Carl Abarth's astrological sign, so it just sort of became his company's logo. Little history lesson for you there. Now these seats, I'll tell you what, they are very supportive, and they're, in my opinion, a really nice upgrade up from the standard Fiat 500 seats. Now, I've been in the regular Fiat 500, including the Fiat 500e, and I only found the seats there to be satisfactory. Here, they are a much, much bigger improvement. And also in this interior, you have Fiat's premium audio system. There's a perforated leather wrapped steering wheel and shift knob, tilt steering, aluminum pedal covers. That's a really kind of cool touch. And driver and front passenger seat memory. And there's also a driver seat height adjuster. Now, one little thing I noticed that shorter drivers probably won't even notice or care about, but taller drivers definitely will, is that the tilt steering wheel, it doesn't have a telescope feature, meaning it just makes it harder for these taller drivers to get comfortable, especially on longer road trips. See what I mean about that rear seat, by the way? It's a little snug. Your knees are going to hit the back of the front seat, but what can you do? And yes, there are still cup holders in the rear. Again, good use of space. All right, so how does this thing drive? Well, it's got a performance suspension with torque transfer control, and the 6-speed automatic is actually a pretty good slush box for this car. It just matches well to the engine. It's got quick steering combined with the oversized brakes and tires. It just adds to the fun, and the chassis is enhanced with performance-tuned anti-roll bars and dampers. So the car, it actually feels planted and stable when you're kind of driving it hard. Cargo space here, as you can see, there's 50-50 split folding rear seats. You have standard 5.4 cubic feet of cargo space and 76.2 cubic feet of space with the rear seats folded flat. So safety, well, it's got advanced multi-stage airbags, supplemental front seat-mounted airbags, side curtain front airbags, driver's airbags, four-wheel ABS disc performance brakes, 3-mode electronic stability control, and a tire pressure monitor. So what's the pricing here? Well, the base price of this car is $22,575 with all the options that our car had, plus a $995 destination fee. Grand total, $28,895. Now, just to compare a bit here, the base Fiat 500 trim, it's called the POP, P-O-P, seriously. That car begins at $14,995. So from the very base Fiat 500 to the top of the line performance version, it's double the price. So what's some of the competition? First car that comes to mind, Ford Fiesta ST. That also begins at about $22,000 and only goes up about an extra $1,000 or $2,000. So even a fully loaded Fiesta ST is going to cost less than this. There's also the Subaru WRX that begins about $27,000. And there's also the Mini Cooper S and JCW, which begins at around $30,000 as well. So what do I like here? Well, it's just stupid easy to park and wicked fun to drive. It's lightweight and it just gets attention. And for less than $30,000, you're just getting a really fun car. What don't I like? It does get expensive pretty fast. Again, the base price is just over $22,000 and it goes up to $29,000. And then when you're just driving on the highway, for an example, you just feel all the little bumps along the way. And I also don't like the fact that $600 TomTom GPS unit, it's just expensive. It should be standard. But overall, Fiat 500 Abarth, lots of fun. Not a huge expense, but what can you do? Not everything is cheap in life. Thanks for watching, everyone, and be sure to check out my next unboxing review.